chances are I'll say something in this review that people don't like, but on the other hand, it's not really anything new, is it? Let's talk about NXT. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your June 3rd NXT review, go home show to take over in your house review. Now, right off the bat, I should say, I don't know what the end of this week looks like for me. I do not know whether you guys are going to get a preview video or not for Takeover in Your House. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to be watching, tweeting along with it on the night. I just don't know whether myself and potentially a co-host are going to get together for this one or not, just because, you know, real life gets in the way and whatnot. So if we don't get one out, I'm sorry, but as I've said to everybody in a lot of different facets and a lot of different conversations, I love YouTube, I love you guys, I love doing what we do for you guys, especially for NXT, but real life in the real world does come first. Now, talking about the real world and how the real world still really sucks, we're still in COVID, which is crappy, and I'm not going to get political about it because that's not the point. It's still a big, bad, scary thing, and it's still a big, bad, pain in the ass thing, and personally, you guys know I've been wearing the gimmick hat for a while now because it became sort of a staple on the channel, but also, look at this shit. Like, this is unacceptable. COVID needs to fuck off so I can get a haircut. Now, when COVID started, we were all saying, man, can't wait to go to my next show, can't wait to go to my next concert, can't wait to go to my next movie, can't wait to go to my next big party, somebody's wedding, whatever the case may be. Now it's down to, I can't wait for COVID to fuck off because I really miss my friends, I really miss my family, and I really need a fucking haircut. Oh yes. Now, speaking of things that I'm not going to go political on and I'm not going to give a view on one way or the other, I'm going to say, to my friends in the States, in the areas where the States right now are being torn up by absolutely ridiculously grotesque violence. Not passing any judgment on either side, I'm just saying, stay home, stay safe, hunker down, catch up on your Spaz Phoenix videos, stay out of the way, don't get hurt. I really want all you guys to be okay. No matter who you're aligned with, no matter who you agree with or disagree with, or who you support or don't support, I want you guys to be okay, and I hope you guys are okay. And as I've been saying, all through the COVID thing, all through, you know, the wrestlers passing away recently, and now with this, talk to somebody. Like, we're in shitty times. I'm lucky enough to have a couple good friends. A couple of them are from this very community that I can shoot the shit and bounce off of and whatever. If you're dealing with any of that, if you're still mourning the pass of Hana Kimura and Shad Gaspard, if you're really getting some cabin fever because you've been locked down because of COVID so long, if you are or are affected by a lot of the violence that's going down in the States specifically, maybe not me. I mean, my DMs are open. Find somebody, talk to somebody, I hate to sound cliche, but don't suffer alone. Find something, even if it's shitty wrestling with a fake crowd, find something to take yourself away from it, or find somebody you can talk to. I cannot stress that enough. Each and every one of you, whether you love me, whether you hate me, whether you are a fan of this channel, whether you come here to slam this channel, I want all you guys to be happy, healthy, home, safe, prosperous, all those types of things. So really, no matter where you are in the world, I hope you guys are doing all right. That's my mushy bit for this week. I know you guys missed it last week, didn't you? Last week, I'm not gonna lie, that's a big portion of why there wasn't an NXT review last week. I couldn't do it. I needed to give myself a day off. Work got busy as well, but that's not really an excuse. The rest of the world sucking was the excuse, and I gave myself a day off. But what I did that weekend, as you guys probably know if you were watching on Tuesday, is the Flicks Fix movie review series with myself and Kristen rolls on. We went way, way, way back to 1979 and reviewed the sci-fi classic Alien. It was a lot of fun. I love Alien. I've loved Alien for a long time. Kristen, not so much. So what did we do? We sat down and we took the piss out of Alien for a little bit. We live streamed that on Tuesday. All the movie reviews that we're doing, that if you're watching them on YouTube, premiere Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Toronto, Canada time. If you want to find the live stream, if you want to talk in the chat, whatever. If not, they do drop at the same time as a podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple, wherever you want to get your podcast from. Same place you get this. It's literally the same channel on here. It's literally the same channel for the podcasts. I thought about doing a new channel, but I'm lazy at the end of the day. We're going to be doing Aliens with the S. We're going to be doing Alien 3, and then we're doing a Batman trilogy, but not a Batman trilogy in the way that you would imagine. But next Tuesday, we're not putting out a new video. I will let you guys know right now. I'll be re-releasing, for those of you that have been following this channel for a long time, you've probably seen it already, we will be re-releasing the MCU mega review that Kristen and I did that reviews every MCU movie from Iron Man to Infinity War. It's about 3 hours long. So get your popcorn, take a deep seat, take a big dump before you start. That will be releasing next Tuesday. Because it's so long, it will have a special start time. It will be starting at 7 p.m., not 9 p.m. if you want to join us for that. If you want to dip in for part of it, if you are one of those guys that like didn't like it until phase 2 or phase 3, probably you can tune in at 8 and join us and catch up with where we are then. That's what we're doing. We're doing the Alien stuff. We got Batman stuff coming on in the future. We got 1 or 2 more re-releases to go. I think I still have to re-release our conversation around last year's San Diego Comic-Con because it's still relevant, because none of the things that we talk about in that thing have happened yet, so it's still good. Having a lot of fun with Kristen on that. Hoping to get Guapo back here to do some more AEW content. Hoping to get Jake on here to talk about NXT at some point. And I do want to encourage you guys, for those of you guys that are fans of our friend here on this channel, OKFabe, he's taken a step away from wrestling. He's doing the OKFabe show, but it's on other topics. I do want to say specifically, his episode 3 was on the difficult topic of mental health, and I listened to it. I'm lucky enough that I don't suffer from too many mental impairments myself personally, although that may be up for discussion in the comment section. But truly shout out and kudos to our friend Connor for the new direction that he's going in, specifically that episode 3, because it couldn't have been easy to do. I really do encourage you guys, especially, as I say, if you're suffering in these weird and not so great times, go check out what he's doing now. It's a lot of fun. I think he did one that was an introduction, one that was specifically about anime, which I'm not gonna lie isn't my cup of tea. He did one on mental health, and I think the one he's got this week, he's got another guest from another podcast on there with him. So again, as I've said for the past week or so, we do wish Connor luck in his non-wrestling endeavors. Still hope to have him on here. As I say, Jake, Guapo, Kristen, I am ridiculously blessed to have some of the co-hosts on this channel that I do. But I've blathered on for far long enough now. Let's talk about NXT. Let's talk about last week, which I didn't review. I would be remiss, because I'm a Shotzi fan, if I didn't mention that awkward fall where I think she was going for somewhat of a coffin drop and basically ended up powerbombing herself on the floor on top of some other people. That looked like it really fucking wrecked. Now, there was a catching issue. A lot of people are calling it a botch, saying that she shouldn't be doing stuff like that and whatever. I've seen her do crazier shit at Destiny. There you go. Check off Destiny from the Spaz Phoenix bingo card. Shit like that happens. It did look scary, don't get me wrong, but shit like that happens. It's not like Nia Jax splitting open Kairi Sane again. She's just like extra large Sasha Banks, isn't she? Moving on. Drake Maverick won the triple threat match to get into the finals, which we're going to talk about later tonight. We confirmed with William Regal that we're going to get Cole versus Dream at In Your House in some type of match. We'll talk about that later on tonight as well. And we had in the shadow of the rumors that were confirmed later on that week of Matt Riddle, in fact, going to SmackDown, we did have Riddle versus Thatcher in the Fight Pit, and the Fight Pit was fucking awesome. The Fight Pit was something... NXT have their own new version of War Games, right? And that's their match. I hope they never, ever, ever use that gimmick on Raw, on SmackDown, or 205 Live, or even NXT UK. Sorry, guys, but, like, no. That is a NXT... their version, I will say. It's not the same as the initial War Games, but their new, modern iteration of the War Games is an NXT staple. I hope this Fight Pit match becomes a staple of NXT as well. Don't use it too often. The whole, it's really, really bleak. It's all shot down and in. It's kind of, it is literally like a fight pit. It does have some memories of the Lion's Den match for people that remember back that far with Shamrock and Owen Hart, although it is more spread out. Kurt Angle being the referee and not being a focus was awesome. It lent a little bit of legitimacy to the match, but he himself... Sorry, my hat's doing a thing. Because of all the hair, it's doing a thing. Anyways, for those of you listening on audio, I'm sure that's great to hear. But yeah, no, it was really good and really different, and the two guys that you chose to be in it were perfect. Riddle is amazing. I mean, I'm really, really bummed, in a way, that he's gone on to SmackDown, but SmackDown is becoming a very wrestling-heavy brand in its own right, with AJ Styles and Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan and now Matt Riddle. It is becoming sort of... We always refer to the Intercontinental Championship, which I'm sure is another topic for another day, as the workman's title. I think SmackDown, of the two main roster brands, is going back to that old era of being the workman's brand, and I'm all for that. Now, I don't know how Braun Strowman being their main champion fits into that, but that is not an NXT conversation to have. Thatcher, unfortunately, is going to fall into that category, and I am loath to make the comparison of Jake Hager, because there's a really dangerous, scary intensity to what he does, but as a character, I don't care. He was brought in to be a substitute Pete Dunne because Pete Dunne is over in the UK because of the ongoing global situation. He was brought in to be substitute Pete Dunne, and then he walked away from it in 3 weeks. So, character-wise, other than the fact that he got his teeth knocked out of his mouth and kept fighting and beat Matt Riddle, I don't know what to make of him as an individual. I don't know how to make... what to make of him as anything other than Matt Riddle's partner / opponent. I need to see him do something else. But yeah, the Fight Pit is something I would like to see again in the right circumstances. Put Kyle O'Reilly in there with somebody is my go-to. If Kyle O'Reilly ever left the Undisputed Era, something like a Kyle O'Reilly versus Roderick Strong, or a Kyle O'Reilly versus Bobby Fish. Not Adam Cole, because Adam Cole is a character as well as a wrestler. You almost need the people without character for this match. Now, I realize the contradiction in saying that, because the guy that had the first ever match was Matt Riddle, who's oozing with character, but it's quite different from an Adam Cole. And Adam Cole is the champion. Adam Cole, bae. Can you take a wild guess what I want to happen this Sunday? Oh, yes. We start off the show proper this week with Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim. There's a corner beatdown by LeRae and a series of kicks by Yim, a gut-wrench toss by Yim, a boot, a snapmare suplex, and a PK, a full Nelson by Yim, a Pele by LeRae, a running senton, a step-up senton by LeRae, a cannonball by Yim, body shots and chops by LeRae, a corner hip attack, a wheelbarrow slam into the rail and into the glass by Yim, ends up with a double countout. Now, mentioning the glass brings me to something else I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, because we haven't done the wrestling thing here. The fake crowd and the plexiglass that came along with it. It's true what everybody says. It does make the wrestling kind of look like a hockey arena. It is very awkward for them to shoot around, I'm sure. It does weird things to the sound. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think it does really weird things to the sound. And yes, quite obviously, the Performance Center athletes are not a crowd. They're going to react as fellow wrestlers are going. People say it's fake. People say they're being given direction and all that sort of thing. I don't know, because I'm not there, so I'm not going to pontificate on that. But I will say, that aspiring, why am I beeping? Why is this a thing? Aspiring wrestlers and other co-wrestlers are going to react to your match as a co-worker, not as a fan. I know most wrestlers these days that have come up were fans when they were younger and all that sort of thing, and I respect that. But you're in it now, and your reaction is just going to be different. Now, throwing everybody else's merch on them to make them look extra shill-y, not so much. Not a big fan. It's fine. But I gotta say, all criticism aside, any sound is better than no sound. People were saying at one point, pipe in the noise. You can't do that properly. You can't echo the crescendo and how a crowd reacts to stuff in a recording. You can't do it. If anything, it would be drawing more attention to the people not there. So seeing people all standing around doing their social distancing, staying their 6 feet apart, and all that sort of thing. Is it ideal? No. Is it the same as having a real live fan base there? Absolutely not. And I don't even think WWE is trying to tell you that. They are telling you that they're the Performance Center employees. And yes, okay, AEW did it first. Anyways, they've also got a much bigger building to deal with and didn't bother putting any barricades for safety for their employees. So it is what it is, and they've got Mike Tyson on their show, and apparently, if Twitter is to be believed, they're ramping up the SJW bullshit on tonight's show. I might skip tonight's show, not gonna lie. I don't even know what people are freaking out about. I just saw the reaction to it. Sorry, I don't have a voice, and that's also really, really uncool. Anyways, they fight after the match, after the double countout is over. There's a head scissor into the entrance screen where they do that thing that's cheesy but also awesome, where the part of the screen that you ran into, that you clearly didn't run into that hard because it's expensive equipment, it just turns off a section, and then it was fine after. For reasons, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, Tegan Knox, and I think Shotzi Blackheart, although I didn't see her, they all join the fight. Gargano comes to tend to LeRae. Lee goes to save Yim, and there's an announcement made randomly from the corner by somebody that this is now a mixed tag match. Now, I'm fine with that because we all knew that that's where it was going. I still, even though there's another interesting little announcement that we're going to get to later on, I still think this mixed tag, with the stipulations that I envisioned in my fantasy booking video a couple weeks ago, should have been on the pay-per-view and not given away tonight. But whatever. Gargano obviously makes the argument for not being in the match. He's not dressed, he's not ready, he's not in his ring gear, etc. And that does come into play later on. Gargano tries to bail. There's a military press by Lee. A dropkick to Gargano by Mia Yim is great. LeRae rides around on Lee's back because look at the size difference. I doubt she knew he was there, or he knew that she was there, rather. Shotgun dropkick by Yim, a snapmare, a Beal by the hair, an eat defeat by Yim, which LeRae just walks away from. Now that sucks a little bit. I like Candice LeRae, but I also like Mia Yim, and the eat defeat, or the soul food, I guess they're calling it now, is one of her finishers, and LeRae literally walked away from it and started working on the knee. There's a boot by LeRae, some chops, a haluva kick, and a mudhole stomp, a snapdragon by Yim. All the Kenny Omega fans out there, Mia Yim did a snapdragon. I want to hear all your analysis down in the box below just so I can ignore it. Hip toss by Lee to Gargano, which is terrifying because, again, size difference. Corner splash by Lee. Gargano gets up in a position because we're going to go for the Spirit Bomb, and we're going to get a big dominant win by Keith Lee with the Spirit Bomb to set up the momentum for their match this weekend. Rah. No, we're not, because you made Johnny Gargano fight in his street clothes, and he happened to have his car keys in his pocket, rakes his car keys across Keith Lee's face. You love to see it. Quick roll up on Yim by Candice LeRae, and the Garganos get the win. Gargano takes the North American Championship while Keith Lee's trying to get some sight back in his eyes, and I thought he was going to leave with it. I thought he was going to do the cliche thing, the thing that Brody Lee just ripped off recently, where he just leaves with the title and comes back with it on Sunday. But he doesn't. He walks about halfway up the ramp, and then they do the, when they draw the invisible line between them and an opponent. He did that with the belt on the rampway. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to plug other people's Instagrams very often, but Johnny Gargano on Instagram got his dog a miniature North American Championship, and I think the caption underneath is like, twins soon. I'm like, that is just obnoxious enough to be awesome. The Garganos have the leg up going into Sunday, which probably means Lee's going to retain his title, but whatever. We see a hype video for Cross and Champ, but there was a lot of hype vid filler in this week's episode, which is why I'm probably going to get through it relatively quickly. Hype vids, WWE, you know the drill. Dexter Lumis is interviewed in the back, and he's asked what he thinks about Cole and Dream. Instead of answering the question, he gets an easel and some markers and draws a picture of him in a car kidnapping the other members of the Undisputed Era. That's a thing that happened. Drake Maverick is shown outside the, I don't know whether it's outside Full Sail or outside the Performance Center. He's being interviewed about the Cruiserweight, the NXT Interim Cruiserweight Championship Round Robin Tournament Final. There we go. And he's got this really, really sort of manic energy about him. He feels really free, and it's the last stand, and he doesn't know what happens. He's either going to be the best day of his life or the worst day of his life, and he's doing a really good job of playing a guy who's really worried, who's trying to play off not being really worried, which is great. And then we did a long highlight package hyping up the Dream versus Cole match at In Your House this Sunday. They revealed that it's going to be a backlot brawl. Now, William Regal, in his announcement last week, said, these are two stars that want to hog the spotlight. We're going to find a big enough spotlight for both of your egos, Roddy Raw. To have them fight in a back lot is sort of the opposite of that. I mean, it's cool, it's different. Obviously, it's going to be a cinematic thing. Spoilers have said it's already been pre-recorded, which is fine. I mean, One Last Beat was awesome. Don't fight me. So this will be good too. But the way they set this up, these two stars at their peak, at their prime in the main event, we're going to get them a spotlight that they deserve, and that now you're fighting in the back lot. Those two things didn't go together. Now, on the one hand, you got Adam Cole, who's in a limo with the rest of his guys. Kyle O'Reilly's there. Kyle O'Reilly's apparently filming a movie. Is that the deal? Is that a gimmick, or is that something that's actually true? Because we don't see him that often. They're all in a limo. They're celebrating his 365 days as champion. They're all going out to dinner. They're having champagne or whatever. Velveteen Dream, on the other hand, is rollerblading around Full Sail, doing weird selfie promo stuff, and then talking to somebody else in a mirror that's dressed like it wasn't it, Chief. Then they do what WWE does sometimes, is they get like the outsiders' opinions on it. They got Sam Roberts talking about it, Peter Rosenberg, Pat McAfee, and a nice touch, I thought, because this is the main title of this brand. What do? They go to the main title holder of WWE, and they had Drew McIntyre giving some thoughts on that. Now, not only is he the main WWE champion right now, but he was probably one of the better NXT champions at his time. I mean, he got injured, and that got cut short and whatever, and that really sucked. But to have Drew McIntyre in amongst all the like outside radio personalities, talk show hosts, and all that thing, to throw Drew McIntyre in the mix, and it's entirely synthetic, but it did add some synthetic legitimacy to the match, which is good. Swerve Scott faced Tony Nese, and Jack Gallagher came down and tried to interfere, and Swerve Scott got the win anyway. I wish I cared. I do, because I like Swerve. Tony Nese is another one. He falls into that category. It's not like when I talked about the Forgotten Sons, when I was like, okay, these guys are probably good, let them show me something. It's not like No Way Jose, when I said, this guy's a goofball and he's doing a wind-up punch and I just don't care. There are guys like Thatcher and Tony Nese in particular who drive me nuts because I know they're fantastic in the ring. I desperately... It didn't happen on 205 Live. It didn't happen for the brief time that they were on the main roster, that he was on the main roster show, and it's not really happening right now unless it's a purely athletic story like the tournament was. Otherwise, they madden me, if that's a thing, with how much I want to care about a guy that I know is this good, and they haven't given me a reason. They do the cheap reasons where he comes down and he counts his abs or whatever. I can't relate. I'm sorry. Swerve Scott's great, but he needs to be facing somebody that I also care about. I think that's the dynamic. That's why I wanted to... Before Damian Priest went in another direction, I really wanted to see a Swerve Scott versus Damian Priest because I love both those characters. I thought they could elevate each other. My prime example of that is when they both started in WWE, you had Edge and Christian and you had the Hardys. And those two teams elevated each other the whole way through. And yes, I'm biased because I'm a Hardy fan. It's fine. I wanted the same sort of thing for Swerve Scott and Damian Priest. But Tony Nese ain't getting that done. Another match that I'm not going to talk about in its entirety because I really, really tried to take notes and it was just too much and I'm really tired. So what I am going to do is I'm going to encourage you, if you didn't watch NXT, and again, I'll say if you didn't watch NXT but you're watching my review, that's flattering but also a little weird. Go back and watch the #1 contender match for the tag team titles between Fish and Strong, Lorcan and Birch, and the mystery third team, which ended up being Breezango. Really, 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 when you consider that Undisputed Era are a more technical team, when you figure that Lorcan and Birch are more of a hard-hitting team, and Breezango are the quicker ones, the speed at which this match went through, and because I'm watching it on a shitty stream, I can't pause it, I can't go back and be like, wait a minute, what was that, etc. I can't give it the type of monotonous breakdown that I usually do because it blew my brain. But ultimately, and I don't know whether this is happening on TakeOver or not because they didn't confirm it, but we are getting at some point Imperium versus Breezango, which is great because you've got the team that takes things super seriously in Imperium, taking on a team that's relatively fun. Breezango came out dressed as spacemen with shiny pants, and they had other dudes dressed like spacemen in their entrance, and it was fine, it was wonderful. But it'll counter each other much the same way as if you imagine a really, really serious team like the FTR when they took on the New Day, because there's mosquitoes, awesome. When they took on a team like the New Day and they were just insulted by how much they didn't take it seriously, and the story writes itself, how off the wall Breezango are, how popular they are, especially considering they've been gone a while, taking on Imperium. I don't think they have a snowball's chance in hell of winning the tag team titles. If they were going to put the tag team titles on Breezango, they would have done it a long time ago. But not only that, Breezango get the win, the other two teams sort of like fuck off. Imperium comes down the ramp to stare them down, but behind them, like it matters, you got Malcolm Bivens' boys, the Induce Shear. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, and I don't care. How's that? And on the one hand, it's like, I don't care, but on the other hand, like, you guys showed up for 2 weeks and beat up jobbers and disappeared again. Where the fuck you been? When they said, I'm not gonna lie, before Breezango came out and they said there was a mystery third team, I thought we were going to find out that they managed to get a flight out, and either we were going to get Mustache Mountain back in the mix or Grizzled Young Veterans. Either one of those would have been amazing. I would love, if they had the balls to put those titles on Breezango, I would love for, the world to open up again and we get back to somewhat of normal. Can you imagine, just with the differences of opinions, the difference of styles and worldviews and whatever, Breezango versus the Grizzled Young Veterans? I'm going to sneeze. Alright, moving on. But, yeah, I mean, NXT/WWE have never been the strongest in their tag team division. It's kind of like AEW trying to have a women's division. But every now and then, they gather all their teams up together in a segment like this and be like, look, see, we've got teams, and they're good, and one of them's Breezango, and Breezango's a lot of fun, so it's fine. Chelsea Green is seen in a thing from last week after her tag team match with Charlotte Flair, and she fires the Robert Stone brand while they're in the middle of an interview for reasons. And then Aaliyah loses to Santana Garrett in like 2 minutes. She's trying to impress Robert Stone, who looks really stressed about losing Chelsea Green, and she loses and he walks away from her and he looks like his life's falling apart. I'm going to say something probably controversial here. Can Robbie E wrestle? Can that be a thing? I know we've got DJZ in there. We got Rockstar Spud in there. Can we have Robbie E as a wrestler? Can somebody tell me down in the box below? Tell me, did he get injured? Is he retired from in-ring competition? Is there a reason he's not in NXT to wrestle? If there's something I've missed, and I'm not being sarcastic here, throw it down in the box below. But you know what? Even if he comes back and he does the Robbie E thing, Robbie E and oh fuck, Joaquin Wilde isn't even DJZ anymore, but it could be fun. Aaliyah got like a minute of offense, and then Garrett hit some weird modified moonsault thing, and I don't know what this was for. Chelsea Green is apparently also going to the main roster, along with Riddle, and apparently Dijakovic's going to Raw, so fly, go away, I don't really care. We got a hype package for Charlotte, Shirai, and Ripley, and as much as I would love to hype this up, you know, I'd like to hype up the hype package. Yes, I know that's a bit ironic. As much as I would love to put as much energy into this as I did for the Cole Dream thing, it was basically the same thing. There was a lot of Beth Phoenix and Natalya talking up the women, and Charlotte talking about starting up NXT, and Ripley reflecting on WrestleMania, and a lot of other people talking up Io Shirai. And it was everything you need to know, but if you've been watching it every week, like I have, like you probably have if you're watching this with me right now, it was just, yeah, I know that, yeah, I know that, yeah, I know that. Cameron Grimes beat Bronson Reed, and again, it's Bronson Reed's awesome. Bronson Reed's a lot of fun. He got in all the offense, but he misses a splash, gets hit with the cave-in, and Grimes gets the win. I don't get it. It's not on the Kenny Omega level of I don't get it. Cameron Grimes is just obnoxious. Like, he's just obnoxious, and he's that guy. He's trying to do the Jericho thing. You know, Jericho beat Austin and The Rock in the same night, and he crowed about it for the next 10 years, as you should. Like, beating Austin and The Rock in the same night and becoming a world champion is a night to talk about. He beat Finn Balor, and that's his, like, sole modus operandi now. And it's just really, really bad. Karrion Kross, comes down. Grimes runs away because he's a bitch, and he hits the Doomsday Saito on Bronson Reed, which is impressive in and of itself because Bronson Reed's a big boy. And then he talks into the camera and he says, this Sunday is going to be special, TikTok, which I will say was a bit random. It was a show of force because he chucked around a big dude instead of all the little jobbers that he's been chucking around, and it was a lot better than him just coming down to have a stare at Tommaso Ciampa, who wasn't even on tonight's show. We get the announcement, and this is going to be fun. This is not the typical type of thing that I would usually look forward to at a TakeOver, but we're getting a 6-woman tag at TakeOver in your house, and it's going to be Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, and Mia Yim versus Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Candice LeRae. And as I mentioned briefly to our NXT correspondent, Jake DeMarco, and I was talking to him before, and I said, did you hear about the 6-man tag? And I guess he's watching AEW because he's going to do the stuff with Joe. Go check out Jake DeMarco and Joe Cronin. They both got YouTube channels. They're both really good. I'm sure Joe Cronin is talking about AEW even as I'm speaking right now. But this is awesome because you've got a whole layer of women in that women's division right now that are percolating just under the title picture. I would take Gonzalez out of this mix. I really would. But any of the rest of these women, I wouldn't mind having a title shot. Not necessarily saying that they would win, but anyone. Tegan Nox, give Tegan Nox a title shot. Obviously, I'm biased towards Shotzi Blackheart. Give her a title shot. Mia Yim, nobody likes Mia Yim but me, it feels like, but give her another title shot. Just don't do what she did with Belair. Dakota Kai is one of the best heels they've got. Candice LeRae is catching up to her. If it's a 6-person match, and I, on some level, love 5 out of the 6 competitors in there, and Reina Gonzalez is just going to go in there and do her Lady Diesel thing, that's going to be a good match. That's going to be a really good match. Now, I'm looking forward to the women's title triple threat at TakeOver. Don't get me wrong, but this is a dark horse match. This is something that everybody else is going to look at and say, it's just a pile of people match to fill out the card. No, this could be, I'm hedging my bets here, this could be really, really good. You know what else is really, really good? Maverick versus Phantasma as in the finals of the NXT Interim Cruiserweight Championship round robin tournament final thing. 2 small cokes and a small coke and a small coke. There's a handshake and a quick roll-up attempt by Phantasma, which I thought was a bit of a dick move. Front slam and a front face-up by Phantasma, collar and elbow tie-up, and a rolling armbar by Phantasma. A monkey flip by Phantasma, collar and elbow tie-up once again. Head scissor by Maverick, and a cannonball off the apron as we go to commercial break. Mudhole by Maverick, there's a boot, and there's a second rope dropkick. Batista bomb on the floor by Phantasma that went splat. And it was really, really good. Forearms to the back, a surfboard stretch by Phantasma, a back drop by Phantasma, snake eyes by Maverick, a Boston Crab by Phantasma, and another Batista bomb. This Batista bomb, though, and I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch it, or I'd have to have somebody else tell me what they think about this. The story of the entire tournament is how fucked over Drake Maverick's one arm was. When he landed in this second Batista bomb, he took all of his own weight and Phantasma's weight on his one shoulder and arm. I want to believe that that was intentional because that's a really cool little tweak. If not, that was an almost botch that could have really hurt somebody. Forearms to the back as we're working over the back. Wheelbarrow Bulldog by Maverick, a top rope elbow, a jawbreaker, a spinebuster by Phantasma, and the masked men, the masked kidnappers showed up at ringside, and they look like they're confronting Phantasma, but Maverick, being the good guy that he is, and good guys are of course idiots, he hits a suicide dive on the 2 masked guys and beats the 2 of them up, and Phantasma takes advantage of the entire situation when Maverick gets back in the ring. Super kick, Phantom Driver. Phantasma is your new NXT Interim Cruiserweight Champion. Which means we're going to get Phantasma versus Jordan Devlin at some point, and I'd be lying if I said I was excited about that. Nothing against the guy, but it's not a combination that I would have put together. Maverick, as a character, as the ultimate babyface, taking on Devlin, the ultimate heel, would have been great. Now, Phantasma took his moment, had his bow, posed with the title and all that sort of thing. And then, obviously, because the story of the whole thing is, and I don't care, I'm going to put it aside for a second, because wrestling is kind of weird right now. The rest of the world kind of sucks right now. We need to take the good shit while we can get it. I'm talking in storyline. Okay? In storyline. So what's been going on? He's been fighting to get his career back. He's been fighting to save his career, get a new contract in NXT, whatever. They focus on him for a long time. He talks right into the camera. He thanks everybody, all the fans that have been following him all the way along, and all the support and whatever. And you know, I see each and every one of you. I feel each and every one of you. And he starts going around. And normally, I guess he'd be fist bumping everybody in the crowd and whatever. But I think he just sort of like taps the glass, and he stands on the top of the rampway for a little bit longer than you should. And for a minute, I thought they were going to do what was suggested on What Culture, and the masked guys were going to come back, and they were going to throw him in the van, and we were never going to see him again. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. Papa H came out. Papa H came out, big smile on his face, big respectful smile on his face. And you can't help but see it because they put a big, bright yellow logo on the front of it, but he's got a folder with him. And everybody knows what's in that folder before the commentators say anything, before Triple H says anything, before Maverick even realizes it. Pops open the folder, brand new contract for Drake Maverick. Didn't win the battle, but he won the war. And that's fucking awesome. Because here's the deal. Here is the deal, right? If it was real, if he was fired, and if they reconsidered it, he's still got a job. There was a potential that he didn't have the job, and now he's got the job. If it was always fake, then at least at some point we thought he was going to lose his job. And guess what? He didn't lose the job. Fictional or reality, I am all for people not losing their job. And also, in all of this, we took Drake Maverick from a joke character to somebody we all legitimately rallied behind. And I don't care. whatever you want to say about WWE or NXT or Triple H and Regal or Vince or whoever threw all this together, however you want to look at that, the guy still has his job. The character of Drake Maverick got his job back. The real person, Drake Maverick, whether he ever lost it or not, still has a job. Now, does that poo-poo on all the other people that lost their jobs? And apparently a fuck ton of them are going to Impact for Slammiversary, I've heard. They showed a bunch of faces and a Bulgarian flag because I guess they didn't have a copy-free picture of Rusev, which is a little laughable. I mean, the people that they let go, a lot of them are coming back. I mean, I think at one point they said that they had fired Dana Brooke and she's still there. I mean, they at one point said they were firing the Iconics, and they're back and tangling with the tag team champions. Kurt Angle, although he's not a full-time wrestler, so it's not the best example in the world, he came back to referee the pit match thing. You know, all kidding aside, all digs at AEW side, FTR got to go where they wanted to go. Gallows and Anderson are going to end up somewhere. They're big in Japan from what I know, or they could go to Impact, or they could go to AEW, or they could go wherever. So say what you want about the company, say what you want about the decision of the company, the booking, whether it was offensive or not. I'm not going to take that away from the fact that an individual, whether he ever lost it in the first place, still has a job. Say it with me here. And the bonus of that is, in the story, you're able to feel good for the character. Now, I know that that is an absolutely poisonous, unpopular take, but you know what? Tell me I'm a shithead down in the box below, because right now, we need some cool shit. We need to hear about Bray Wyatt and JoJo's second kid. We need to be happy for Becky Lynch and psycho Seth Rollins going off to make a baby. We need to know that a guy who may or may not have lost his job still has a job. Take the little things where you can get it. We started off this video talking about how shitty the real world is. And yes, in a shitty real world, shitty things are happening. Enjoy a happy story, even if it's just a story. That's my take on that. And I hope you can take a little bit of that with you. As I said at the beginning, no matter where you are, specifically in the States, but all over the world, we're dealing with all kinds of shit. I really, really desperately want you guys to know that I hope you're all doing okay. Stay safe, stay happy, love the people around you, do smart things, try not to be an asshole. That's it. That's all I can say. Spaz loves you. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.